Welcome back to another Habs Daily News with your hockey coach guru, Coach Frenchie. Today, episode number 78. We're going to talk about the key success of the Montreal Canadiens for the upcoming season 2022-2023. Don't go nowhere. Here we go. Before we start, we invite you, please don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the Hockey Nation Live Show, and below this video, tell me what you think about the episode number 78. Let's see the menu of the episode. Today, we're going to talk about 6 key success for the Montreal Canadiens for the upcoming season. Paul Byron have an amazing, great circumstance happen to him yesterday. Review the Jake Allen trade in 2019. And finally, a couple of NHL news around the league. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is the 6 different success what the Montreal Canadiens need to do for the upcoming year. First of all, they need to be more healthier. The clarity of Carey Price need to be find out the next couple of weeks and months. The cap salary relief, the Slavkovsky development, then the rookies development, and Montreal need to select next year at least a top 8 NHL draft 2023. So let's talking about the first thing, guys, is to be more healthier. They was last in NHL last season. At the bottom of the bottom. They missed over 731 game in NHL participant players. We know Carey Price, Shea Weber was almost all year long out. The defenseman Edmondson, then Paul Byron, Gallagher, Jonathan Drouin missed a bunch of hockey games last year, and there are more. But they are supposed to be the regular of the roster for the Montreal Canadiens, so it did not help the season for the Montreal Canadiens. Their record of 22, 49, and 11 is one of the worst Montreal Canadiens franchise in their history. So we hope the Montreal Canadiens stay more healthy for the upcoming year. Let's move on now for the Carey Price clarity. They have a lot of misinformation right now about his case. We know what he did after the offseason. He tried to play a couple of games. It was a swollen knee all the time, and he had to take some decision. He made some small surgery, and now he's on the time of recovery. Some people mention he's going to be fine, ready to rock and roll. Some say no, be careful, maybe not. We'll see what happens, but if ever he's healthy or not. The worst case is the Montreal, he can play about 40 games is his completely recovery for his injury. I don't see him to play more at 40 games for upcoming season. If it's the case, Jake Allen become the backup number 2 on the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the other option is if Carey Price go on the long-term injury reserve, Jake Allen become number 1, and Samuel Montembeault become number 2 as the backup for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, they have some people mention about the day guys retire at some point for Carey Price. Still have 4 more years at $10.5 million. Still have about like 35 to 40 million cash. I don't see him to retire. I would be surprised if he said, I give up 40 million that way. So it'll be interesting to follow up. But again, the clarity of Carey Price have to find out at some point this year to have a better success year for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the salary cap relief. We know Montreal Canadiens right now are about $200,000 below the cap, but they have to sign Kirby Dach and Caden Primo. So they have to figure out something for the upcoming year. A minimum drop around $20 million. It will be necessary for the Montreal to say this as a success for 2022-2023. The key is really at the trade deadline. Dadonov, Drouin, Allen, Byron, if you put all together, it's about $16.2 million they can give up on the trade deadline and receive picks in prospect. Then they have 2 other players where they have to figure out. The Joel Armia and the Brendan Gallagher could be another option. Both together is $11 million. I can add Hoffman in the mix. It's another $4.5 million for the Montreal Canadiens. So Montreal right now during the offseason really believe they missed a right defenseman, and they need to figure out, find the money, sign the 2 players I mentioned, Dach and Primo. So Joel Armia become a player where he could be in demand. Another player I did not mention yet is Christian Dvorak. At $4.5 million, 2 more years to go. Something will be really interesting about him. We'll see if Montreal. But at the end of the day, The salary cap relief is really important for the success of the Montreal Canadiens. Is the first round pick overall 2022 by the Montreal Canadiens, Slafkovsky. Development. Really important to focus on him. Whatever he play with the Montreal Canadiens or the Laval Rocket, he need to be sure they properly develop him, provide him the right tool to be around friend people like Adam Nicola, example, development coach for the Montreal Canadiens. We be sure we don't put pressure for the young man with the Montreal Canadiens, Slafkovsky, at 18 years old. From the fans and from the media, don't try to have high expectation for him because he was the first overall pick. He need to play for the Montreal. He need to score 25 goals. He need to do this. He need to do that. Look, we should pick Shane Wright. No, stay positive. Stay on the process of his development and not look for any moment the outcome of Slafkovsky. We'll talk about his outcome, guys, in 5 years. Until then, enjoy the ride. Be a great supporter of Slafkovsky and let him develop properly the way the Montreal want to do it. So patience is really the key about Slafkovsky. Another key success for the Montreal Canadiens. The next one is the rookies development. Like Slafkovsky, but I want talking about the players maybe established in NHL or expect him to be a great in the NHL at some point. Talking about Jordan Harris, Justin Barron, Keaton Cooley, Cole Caulfield, and Kirby Dak. Dak, Barron, Caulfield, Harris have experience in NHL. They expect Gordon Cooley play with the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see. But the key for the Montreal Canadiens, give them experience. Give them reps, off ice, on ice, practice, game. Learn to become real professional hockey player. I remember my time with my buddy. He was the coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Always said the key for us is to teaching Connor Brown, William Nylander, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner to become a professional. It takes to be a professional. It's all about the work ethic, your habits, how you can win your day every single day as a hockey player. Become a grinder. What is the purpose of every day? The desire to reach greatness and not desire to not fail. This is a great code I learned for a couple of years ago. It is really important the player needs to set up his mindset properly. And then, for the Montreal Canadiens, have a great is to follow up the prospect, the new player, Owen Beck, example, Lane Hudson. I'm talking about the older players play in Laval Rocket, the Norlander example, the Philippe Mézard, the Jan Mizak. Develop them properly and follow them for the upcoming year. And the last one I want to talk about, guys, is that Montreal is going to be out of the playoff this season. Be realistic here with me. Stay with me. That'd be awesome if the Montreal Canadiens have a pick at the top 8 NHL next year. That'd be awesome. It would be so much better if they are the top 5. But top 8 guys would be great. They have 2 first-round picks next year. Their own pick and the Panthers. That's the head they have on their 2023. Now, at the trade deadline, while we just mentioned the player they can trade, they could add more picks and more prospects in their organization. So that would be important for the Montreal Canadiens to go that direction. Then, I really believe Martin St. Louis and Adam Nicola have an amazing, great role inside this organization about the development. Make everybody around them better. The player they teach and they educate every single day, make them better. This is, guys, the step for the upcoming year. I know it's early. We're still in July. But I want to shoot another plan. That would be my plan if I was working for the Montreal Canadiens. Really great story to hear that, guys, is the Paul Byron involved in the rescue of men. Yesterday, when a small plane diving, unfortunately, in the water. And great people saved his life. And Paul Byron want to share the situation. I want everyone to know it. It was Serge Labelle who rescued the pilot and should be recognized for his heroic action. My father-in-law, brother-in-law, friend, and I assist in the rescue, as well as many incredible others on the shore. Serge is the hero. Thank you, everyone, for the kind of message. I want to wish the pilot the best on his recovery. This is who is Paul Byron, guys. What an amazing, great leader. He showed to the people, look, it's not because I'm a hockey player, play for the Montreal Canadiens, I need to get the credit. It's not me. is Serge Labelle. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not sure if Paul Biron is going to retire this year or not, or he's going to play one more year. But this is almost the end of his career. It's really important for the Montreal Canadiens. Keep him around. He can become a scout, can be an assistant coach. Paul Biron have a lot of asset inside of him to become that kind of person. Will be interesting to follow. But again, what an amazing, great story from Paul Biron. Now I want to move on now for the Jake Allen trade in 2019. The Montreal Canadiens gave 2 picks to the St. Louis Blues. And return, they got Jake Allen, goaltender, and a 7th-round pick. And I want to talk about that pick. It was the 2022 7th-round pick and the 216 overall in NHL Draft 2022. And the Montreal Canadiens select Miguel Grenier for that pick. 20 years old and 65 game, 31 goals, 49 assists, 80 points. Sometimes, guys, when you make trade, you never know the end of that trade. The St. Louis got Dylan Peterson, the 3rd-round pick, a couple of years ago. But for the Montreal, they get Tourigny. I just want to sharing this with you about the trade. And I think that trade, again, another great move from Mike Bergevin. We know he was great on trade. And the Montreal win. Allen still with the Montreal Canadiens. The 2 prospects for St. Louis never play in NHL. And now Tourigny is going to play with the Laval Rocket, I believe, next season. Finally, not much happened action in NHL for the news around the league. Only one signature is coming for the Seattle Kraken. They signed or they resigned Morgan Kiki, RFA, a 1-year contract at over $800,000. Nothing about the UFA guy. Try to figure out Kadri and Klember. The only thing I said to you, they have some discussion a little bit more open up between the New York Islanders and possibly the Dallas Stars. Try to find a way to sign Nizam Kadri. Something we have to follow up for the next 24 hours for sure. But nothing about Klember and the rest, guys. Here we go, guys. Episode number 78. We talk about 6 key for the Montreal Canadiens to become success for 2022-2023. Talk about Paul Biron. Circumstance happened to him yesterday. The Jake Allen trade complete 2019 happening from Marc Bergevin with the St. Louis Blues. And finally, the NHL news. This is the episode number 78. Hopefully, guys, you enjoy it. But before we leave, we want to remind you, of course, you have greatness inside of you. Have an amazing, blessing day, everybody.